Hi everyone, thank you so much for inviting me here. I will briefly present an ongoing project called MASSA, which actually I think I was invited because it uses lab-like methods. And it's a 4-year project funded by Formas and the Public Art Agency, Statens konstråd, among others. And it's part of a direction toward the theme of designed living environments with focus on the role of artistic practices. And we're now in the final half year of the project. So we're very much in the messiness of it. So this is a little bit where we stand now. And first I will describe the background to the project and our research questions. Then I will focus on describing the way specifically the artistic perspectives and methods have played a role in the project and give some examples of the work of the artists in the project. And lastly, I will lift some tentative themes that have come up so far in the project, if we have time. We'll have a little eye on time here. So the project is a collaboration between KTH, through myself, and through my colleague Hanna Erixon, and then participants from the municipality of Stockholm from different departments, architects from the firm Gaia, and then 4 participating artists. And the project takes a starting point in the enormous, maybe we can change image. It didn't respond to my... Should I just say new image? Yeah, okay. So the new image then. The project takes its starting point in the enormous amount of stone and debris that is being excavated due to the subway expansion in Stockholm. New image. Just like in many other cities, land masses that are produced in conjunction with growing cities are often regarded as a costly remnant. And often the kind of solutions to handle the stone has been, as in Stockholm, to dump them in the suburbs, far away from the places of uptake. And this has, of course, large negative impact on both the environment, on social justice issues, and also very concrete things like how to transport this large amount of stone. And meanwhile, many cities are facing huge challenges related to their water bodies. And in Stockholm, the Baltic Sea has for a long time now been suffering from a loss of biodiversity with collapsing ecosystems and the erosion of shorelines. Is it okay if I do like this? Yeah. So one of the intentions we had early on with the project was to explore ways of how the stone could be used to improve the situation in the Baltic Sea, and possibly create new public spaces simultaneously through reefs and new land and islands. And if we take a peek back in time, we find a similar situation in the 1950s and 60s when the subway was first built. And just like today, the question of how to handle this large amount of debris was something that no one at the city administration wanted to take responsibility for. And eventually the task was given to the city gardener, Holger Blom, and he took the initiative to collaborate with artists to shape 10 artificially sculptured hills that are now still very present in the silhouette of Stockholm. And today we're facing a similar situation, and within the region of Stockholm and further down the communal level, current strategies for dealing with challenges, such as the situation in the Baltic Sea or the situation with how to handle the stone, is dominated by a very sectors-oriented approach, where each department at the City of Stockholm monitors questions linked to their specific expertise, and there is a lack of organization and structure to support cross-sectoral working methods. And interestingly, this was actually a self-critique from individuals working at the municipality of Stockholm, and was kind of the spark that started the project, a frustration they felt toward the lack of handling challenges in a more holistic way. And the project, in the project, we set out to explore more cross-sectoral and future-oriented ways of looking at these challenges. And the work has been driven by a series of workshops in which ecologists, planners, engineers, artists, architects, and more have participated. And we use design-based and artistic methods to explore alternative visions of the future. And these projections, actions, visions, ideas, and artifacts function as a type of touchstones through which potential synergies and overlappings can be visible, but also, and importantly, possible areas of conflict may be exposed and brought to the surface. So in the first workshop work package that we had, the project had a large focus on kind of gathering knowledge, initiating these co-creation methods together with stakeholders. And this was done both through organizing workshops with over 50 different actors with knowledge of different aspects related to the stone and the water. But they were coupled with a series of events in which the group collaboratively explored possible sites together to work with. So this was the first stage, to choose sites together. And we did this through the organization of joint excursions through the city, both by foot and by boat. And as part of one of these excursions, participating artist Martin Tebus held a workshop at Tiska Galleriet, which was built around the theme of nature culture. And there was a discussion around the work of Bruno Liljefors, a Swedish wildlife painter of the late 19th century. And Martin brought up aspects that I didn't know before, how Liljefors actually often hunted the animals he was going to depict, and once they had to kind of arrange them for his paintings to look very natural. And this brought about discussion in relation to what is artificial and natural and how you can work with these stone making reefs and so forth. And then in the end of the first work package, the group settled on 5 different sites located in the central parts of Stockholm, close to the sites, the uptake where the subway is being built. So in the second work package, we started exploring the sites through the use of artistic and design-based method. And I will actually focus a bit more on the project of the participating artists in this lecture, but it's good to know that the project is very big, very messy, very wild, and it has kind of all these different sub-projects that have developed during the time. So it's hard to talk about, actually, I realized, but this is good to know that I have a special focus on the work of the artists. And we are also conducting interviews on a kind of meta level with the group to look at this aspect of it. So participating artist Gunilla Bandelin, for example, worked with the site at Isbladsviken that you can see up. And she worked closely, especially with the ecologists in the group, and took inspiration from patterns on the fishes that is natural to these areas. And she started creating these kind of prototypes for the site. Yeah, we can go to the next one. And she worked with the theme of soft and hard edges and explored aspects of kind of the aesthetics coupled to what how we think of what is public space or civilization often is tied to kind of hard surfaces, and asking if we can rethink the idea of what these public spaces can look like and if they can be more soft and work better for the ecology of the sites. Another site that we had identified was Skeppsholmen, that you can see in the very center of the map. And here this south-facing bay was of particular interest to use the stone, where reefs could potentially shelter from erosion caused by the many boats passing by. So it was very strategically for this reason. It was quite shallow also. And it's also situated in a kind of ecological infrastructure very strategically, so it would have a large impact if we would do something there. And of course, there was an exploration of the conditions through different layers of analysis of land ownership and topography, mapping of different actors at the site. But this kind of mapping type knowledge production was paralleled or perhaps even challenged, one could say, by a more experiential and tactile learning about the site. So here we have participating artist Lisa Torell, who invited the group to dive in the bay at Skeppsholmen at the site. And Lisa gave us the task to explore the site in complete silence and to gather information about the site through measuring things, through drawings, taking notes, but also gathering things we found in the water. And the interesting thing was not only the large variations of very bizarre things we found in the water and collected, but also what happened when all the participants, whether it was municipal employees or researcher, artists, local actors from Skeppsholmen, changed from their regular work clothes to these wetsuits and snorkeling gear that was provided to the group. So it kind of did something interesting to the group, also that we needed to be quiet and not analyze everything that we saw and did. And it kind of shifted the perspective from this analytical, somewhat distant way of understanding the site to other ways, more emerged ways of looking at it. And in a later stage of the project, we organized a workshop at the Public Art Agency on Skeppsholmen, in which we analyzed, this was a bit further into the project, so we had a lot of different materials through projections and actions, visions, ideas, artifacts. Some were produced more traditionally through design and architecture methods, and some were direct results of the artist's process. And from these, we extracted together 4 themes. Just to give an example, it could have to do with Gunilla's interest for the soft versus the hard surfaces, or it can be what is visible, what is invisible, or the aspects of process and so forth. So these were extracted from the total work of the project. And then based on these themes, we asked workshop participants to create proposals for the site. And these sketches and models were later made into drawings, and proposals were used as proposals to start the next kind of iteration. And so these were, a lot of ideas came up over and over again. So we kind of tried to find kind of the iconic, if it was the park, the kind of wetland, there were many islands, and some projects were temporary, more as performance projects, and then different types of soft structures, like a beach, for example. And in a later iteration, artist Erixon Aalto organized a performance and workshop on one of the other sites, located on the west side of Gamla Stan, on Munkbrohamnen. And this has been identified as a site that, on one hand, holds great potential to actually realize a project, since the edge towards the water is up for being rebuilt. And it's also a site that the city is the landowner of. But at the same time, proposing this type of transformation, actually adding land into the city and changing the silhouette, is of course very controversial and hard to imagine. And Eric invited to the event very local actors on the site. We can go back maybe. Yeah, in Gamla Stan, politicians, municipal employees, and others, a large group, to kind of gather ideas of what could happen at the site. And he prepared a kit from which it was possible to build a floating platform. And he invited participants to help build it. And then they borrowed a bench from the site that was placed on the platform. And the platform was placed, we can go to the next one. And the platform was placed in the water and attached to a thing out, buoy, I think it's called, out in the water, so that it was possible to travel out to the spot where the new island and park was proposed. So you would literally experience a new view of the city from the future park. And from simple parts like tires and rope, the participants built a raft that could carry a bench to a certain point in the water. And the artist wanted to create a kind of sense of possibility by temporarily and with very simple material redrawing the map of the city. And it had a large impact on the kind of social group dynamic in our group. So this is just a glimpse of some of the iterations and projects that ever evolved during the project. And now we're in the process of conducting a final round of interviews with the participants. And there are a lot of interesting themes that have emerged. I've been reading some of the work of the people that are going to speak after me. I think it's very relevant, but as I said, we're kind of in the middle of it. But I just wanted to put up some themes or some kind of questions or themes that have emerged. And of course, it has to do with the value of these artistic and design-based approaches and how they have the possibility to provide kind of multiple lenses through which to view the site, and also lift voices that are normally not heard. In the MASSA project, these voices were the non-human actors, I would say, fishes and marine creatures, which played a very central role in the kind of narrative of the group. This was very interesting how much this was picked up by everyone in the group, and how this kind of human nature relationship and interdependency have been made legible through the artistic work. I also think it's, let's see if that's the same. Yes, also how artistic methods have a kind of projective capacity to explore and make visible unexpected potential and to create conditions that encourage possibility and new perspectives. But this, however, requires a framework that allows for experimentation and taking risks of failing, maybe the lab condition in a way. And I think here it has both been a blessing and a curse that the project has been so anchored in real world problems, and it's also a very time-pressing issue. The subway is being built now. And here I think working with architects, such as myself, there is a risk of projectification in that experiments are shaped by a kind of project logic, a selling logic, with an expectation of delivering solutions. So in a way, the research project in itself is a way to fight for being able to experiment. And then it also brings up interesting issues of kind of roles within these inter- and transdisciplinary projects. What happens, how can you protect the kind of artistic integrity when all these, this is my last slide, when all these different methods that maybe are more belong to the different disciplines starts being intertwined. Yeah, that was it.